You have the right idea. Hello. Oh my God. Oh, hi. Okay. Thank you all for coming. My name is Scott Stringer, New York City Comptroller. I want to start out by just acknowledging two outstanding state legislators who you're going to hear from today, Assemblymember Catalina Cruz and Assemblymember Daniel Rosenthal. So thank you both for coming, and thank you to all the community members who are here today and our young athletes as well. I want to say this from the outset. Any corporate entity leasing land from the city of New York must pay its fair share of rent. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's a basic principle that cannot be denied. But today, my office is releasing a new audit showing that the USTA Tennis Center shortchanged our city by underreporting the revenue it collected through its partnership with us. The USTA owes New York City hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's simply unacceptable. The tennis center earned more than $300 million in revenue every year in this city park. An organization as revenue-rich as the USTA should not be fudging its finances and should not be nickeling and diming New York City. We are their partner. But they are. And it's at New York City's expense. Our audit found that the USTA underreported its revenue by $31 million over 4 years and owes New York City a total of over $311,000. I want to tell you how it breaks down. The USTA failed to report or understated over $11.5 million in in-kind benefits, revenue earned from various sponsorship deals, and broadcasting rights. For those costly errors, the USTA owes the city at least $115,000 in additional rent. The USTA inappropriately deducted over $10 million in operating expenses, which kept another $100,000 from the city. This has happened again and again and again. $4 million in sponsorship went underreported. $5 million in revenue from ticket fees inappropriately omitted. Inaccurate accounting of online sales. And there's an $8 million discrepancy between their certified financial statements and the revenue they reported to the city. The USTA's misreporting and underpayments cannot be shrugged off or swept under the rug. So today, I'm calling on the USTA to pay back its outstanding rent. They can put the check in the mail right now. They don't even have to wait to the end of the month. They owe it. They should give it back before Monday. But it's not just that the USTA underreported income. It's also the fact that the USTA's lease agreement allows them to throw up obstacles on city oversight agencies like the Comptroller's office. This has been a journey for our audit team to get to this point and how we release the findings. This audit took over 2 years. And during the audits, we're allowed, usually, to take copies of relevant documents, carry them off-site. The USTA lease didn't allow us to do that. Our auditors were not even allowed to look at routine financial records unless we were on the premises of this tennis center. During our audits, we regularly obtain and examine digital copies of records. But the USTA lease agreement allows the USTA to refuse to give us records in electronic form. So we couldn't even look at the National Tennis Center's financial records electronically. It's 2019, and they would not give us anything electronically. This is a 21st century enterprise with a $350 million revenue stream that says it wants to be our partner. So I don't want to mince words. These requirements actively obstruct reasonable oversight. And it's why many raised transparency and overtime concerns about this lease agreement when it passed the state legislature in 1993. And I am glad that these two outstanding legislators are here with us today. Now, how do I know this back in 1993? I was in the state assembly during that time. And I shared those concerns when I voted against this deal over 25 years ago. This deal was troubled from the start and is at the root of the problems we're seeing today. And that's why, based on the findings from our audit, I'm calling for the terms of the agreement to be revisited. Because whenever the city enters into an agreement with a multi-million-dollar private entity, we have to protect New Yorkers first. We can't allow the city to have a raw deal. And this is fundamentally about fairness and being good partners. Because at the end of the day, this is New York City. And we want the USTA to succeed. We love opening day. We love what goes on behind us. But we also have an obligation to city residents, to the kids who need services, to the seniors who need services. The reason we collect revenue is so we can give it back to the people to make sure our city is thriving. That's what a partnership is all about. But this cannot be a one-way agreement. We must demand more transparency, and we must make sure that over time we bring the USTA and the city into an alignment where fair is fair. So that is why we're releasing this audit today. We're sounding this alarm, but I also released this audit to send a message loud and clear that we have to have real partnership and we have to account for every dollar of this city agreement. That's what good government transparency is all about. So thank you all for being here. I'd now like to ask Assemblywoman Catalina Cruz to come up and make remarks, and then we'll hear from Assemblymember Rosenthal. Catalina?
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
So I always like to start my remarks in Spanish, but I do want to take a quick minute and thank you for ensuring that we are conducting a thorough review on what this partnership has actually turned out to be. Because we want to make sure that not only they are successful, but that our community is getting what we depend on, what we need. And so, en español, le quiero dar las gracias al Contralor Scott Stringer. Yo soy Catalina Cruz, la asambleísta que representa el Distrito 39, que está justo a las afueras del parque, pero da la casualidad que mi distrito no tiene parques. Entonces, el Flushing Meadows Corona Park termina siendo nuestra yarda, el único lugar donde nuestra comunidad, nuestras familias pobres pueden jugar, pueden venir los fines de semana y disfrutar de la naturaleza. Cuando tenemos una compañía tan grande como la que estamos viendo detrás de nosotros, que ha hecho un contrato con la ciudad, que ha hecho un acuerdo de ser buenos vecinos, esperamos que lo sean, pero cuando nos damos cuenta después de una revisión de que no solo se deben $300,000, pero también vemos que sus carros están ocupando nuestro parque, están ocupando nuestras áreas verdes en vez de estar en un parqueadero donde deben estar los parques. Y cuando nos damos cuenta que esta hermandad solo nos trae a nuestros niños gratuitamente una vez al año, cuando vienen comunidades con mucho dinero y pueden estar aquí mucho más tiempo, no parece justo, porque ellos tienen mucho dinero y se están beneficiando de nuestra área comunitaria. Entonces, tiene que ser un camino de dos vías, donde ellos se beneficien de nuestra comunidad, porque también nos están dando trabajos, también están ayudando a la comunidad, pero el poder siempre ha estado en manos de ellos. Vamos a cambiar eso. Si quieren estar con nosotros, si quieren estar parte del barrio, ya no es suficiente nada más hacer el mínimo que se les requiere en el contrato, porque como nos dijo el Comptroller, no están haciendo siquiera ese mínimo, porque el reporte, les falta el dinero, $30 millones en 4 años. $30 millones. Lo que haría yo en mi barrio con esos $300,000 que se deben. Lo que haría yo. Todas las organizaciones comunitarias, los juegos para los niños, nos beneficiaríamos mucho. Entonces, le pido ahora a la USTA que se sienten con su equipo. No solo escriban el cheque para los $300,000 que le deben a la ciudad, pero que vuelvan y analicen qué tipo de vecinos están siendo en este momento. Porque ya no es suficiente decir, les abrimos las puertas una vez al año para que vengan. No, ahora van a tener que hacer mucho más, porque los tiempos han cambiado, porque las necesidades han cambiado y porque ya no les vamos a permitir que sigan siendo nada más lo mínimo. And so I'll say it very, very briefly in Spanish. I had the opportunity yesterday to be at Queen's Day, and I'm grateful for that one day, but it's only one day. And I'm grateful that they come here and that they open up year-round and that they have offered a lot of employment for our community. But that's not enough. It's no longer enough to just do the bare minimum that the agreement has required. Now we have to go back to the table, sit with your board, sit with your staff, USTA, and come up with something that will actually make you good neighbors. Because right now you're not acting like them. Right now you have cars parked on our lawn. Because for many of us who don't have a park, who don't have a yard, this is our lawn, this is our community, this is our backyard. And this is where our children get to come and play because many of them don't have anywhere else to play. And so when they come to the park and what they find is cars on top of the green space, that's unacceptable. And frankly, I don't care if it's part of the contract, if it's not part of the contract, whose fault it is. All I know is that the people who are coming to use the space behind us are parking in our green space. Let's make that stop. Let's make sure you write that check, because I could tell you the things that I could do with $300,000 in my district, the kinds of programs that I could fund in my district. We're underfunded and overworked. And so it's not fair that you get to make all that money and you get to skip on paying the actual bill. Let's make that stop today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Assemblywoman Catalina Cruz. And now another Assembly member watching out for the district and for our city is Assembly Member Rosenthal. Danny, come on up. Thanks.
Thank you very much to Comptroller Stringer for really shedding light on what is a financial injustice to the taxpayers of New York. The USTA takes a valuable space in a park that we love. And it is important that they pay their fair share and pay not only their fair share, but they're legally obliged to pay. If anyone here doesn't pay their legally required rent, they get evicted. It's not okay because you are a large corporation that you don't have to pay what you have legally agreed to pay. It's enough. We know that the USTA is flush, it's a successful business, and now we just ask that they pay what they have agreed to pay in years previous. It's time to pay up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Assembly members, and I look forward to revisiting some of the issues the legislature dealt with a very long time ago. I also just want to, before we take questions, recognize some of the Queens leadership that's here today. Christian Casolno, the district manager at CB4, give him a round of applause. We also have Gregory Spock, chair of the Parks Committee of CB4, give him a round of applause. Marilyn McAndrews is here, the district manager of CB7, and we have Queens Bike Initiative that's here today. We also have a lot of young people who are activists in their own right. They love this park, and I'm really glad that you would come on a hot day. Thank you very much. Give these young people a great round of applause. And now, for those who have questions about the audit from the press.
You mentioned that you'd like to reopen the contract, and I'm guessing that you can't. Is there any leverage you have to do that?
Well, I think the Assembly member talked, I think made a very good point, that perhaps it's time to go to the board and just have a frank conversation about fairness. We found $31 million that wasn't reported. We found an $8 million discrepancy. So that is all controller work. But there is a larger issue here. When you underreport income and you don't give the money that's owed to the city, who are you really hurting? You're hurting the children, you're hurting people in communities, and you get a great benefit by being in this park generating $350 million in income. So at the very least, it's not about lawyering up. It's about having a frank conversation with the community and then stop putting more roadblocks into the money that you're owed because they're disputing half of it. Just write the check, because we really have documented for you time and time again that there's real financial discrepancy here. We identified it. We did not quit when you wouldn't give us the information the easy way. We came back, and I want to really thank the Comptroller Audit team for never giving up and making sure we were able to get a full financial picture of the USTA.
So do you think the number discrepancies that you're talking about are done intentionally?
You know, I'm not going to say that anybody did this intentionally, but when you take a position as an organization that you're going to put up roadblocks to an audit, as they did, it just raises the question of what are you afraid of in terms of transparency on the financial deal? By any measure, the deal that was constructed back in 1993 was a deal to truly benefit the USTA perhaps at the expense of other stakeholders like our children and others. And they have a good deal. So part of that deal is to make sure that the rent you pay it. And I think they're coming from a different place. And again, I do think it's a very good suggestion to sit with the board that wants to do the right thing. These are folks who dedicate a lot of time putting on a world-class event. We love this event. We are not trying to say that they shouldn't be here. What we're saying is be a good neighbor. We identified some real financial issues. We want you to deal with it, and we want to deal with it before Monday when the Open comes to life for people around the world.
Lucia Hoffman from Inside Tennis. What was their reaction when you approached them with this subject? And also that if you're aware that this first week has been a lot of programs for fans, and while the other tournaments charge an entry fee, the U.S. Open does not charge for the qualifying event.
As again, we are not here to take away from the good of the USTA. We respect their great work. We know this is a world-class event, but part of what this audit is about is making sure that every corporation plays by the same rules. If you owe taxes, you got to pay your taxes. If you're in violation or underreporting income, we have to hold you to it. Nobody should be exempt. Good people have to still be good people and pay up, and that's just the bottom line. And I think that when we really look at this audit, we will have a real opportunity to have those conversations to get out a lot of issues. We come at this from a financial perspective, but look, who do we really represent? We represent these folks, and we understand that there's a better way to look at things.
My first question was, what was their reaction?
It wasn't the best reaction I've ever seen, because but nobody likes the controller when they're asking you to pay out what you're owed, right? So I don't expect a party. I don't expect a party at the Open. I just expect a check for the people of New York City.
And what happened if they don't oblige to your request to talk?
I believe they will. I think when they have time to look at this audit, when they see that people just want the lease agreement to be honored, I do think they'll do the right thing. I look at this as the glass half full. All right, everybody, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good job, Jim. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's try to do this when it's 7.
Yeah, I was thinking.
In